It's 10 o'clock, and I'd like to call to order the teleconference meeting of the Board of Directors for Friday, August 28, 2020. Before we begin, please note that the meeting is being recorded. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Good morning again, everyone. We'll start with Director Arnold.
Here.
Thank you, Director Arnold. Director Belforte.
Here.
Thank you. Director Fewer.
Present.
Present. Director Fredericks. Hasn't joined us yet. Director Garbarino.
Here.
Present. Director Grosval.
Here.
Present. Director Hernandez. Absent. Director Hill.
Here.
Present. Director Maston.
Here.
Present. Director Moylan. Absent. Director Rabbit.
Here.
Present. Director Sears.
Here.
Present. Director Sobel.
Here.
Present. Director Yee. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran. Absent. First Vice President Cheerio.
Here.
Present. And President Parr.
Present.
Present. Thank you. You have a quorum. I'm going to confirm
Thank
the staff
you.
on the line.
All right.
All right. Dennis Mulligan, are you on the line?
Present.
Thank you. Auditor Controller Joe Wire, are you on the line?
Yes.
Thank you. Eva Barr-Furbish, are you on the line?
Present.
Thank you. Kim Manolius, are you here with us?
Yes, I am, Albert. Thanks.
Thank you. Steve Miller?
Present.
Thank you. Mona Babauta?
Present.
Thank you. Jim Swindler?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And Kelly Hopper?
Present.
Thank you. That confirms the staff on the line.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start by just thanking everyone for being here again. We appreciate your continued patience as we continue to conduct our business in this manner. It's almost like being there, but not quite. So I'll be asking board members that have any comments or questions on the item. If there are questions, the Secretary will call on you accordingly. And after the discussion portion, we'll be taking the appropriate roll call votes. If you are not speaking, please remember to mute your phones to minimize the noise on today's call. Each page of the meeting packet is numbered on the bottom right-hand corner for ease in following. Director Sobel, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
It would be my pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, would you please continue to the next item on the agenda?
The next item is item number 4, public comment. And Justine Bach is assisting today to moderate our public comment line. Justine, I believe we have members of the public wishing to address the board, so go ahead and start the public comment process.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. So we have Manuel Gamboa who will be speaking first today. Mr. Gamboa.
Good morning, Mr. Gamboa.
Yes, good morning.
Welcome. Go right ahead.
I'd like to start by saying today I'm calling you from my work where I'd much rather be than attending those meetings the past 6 years. But unfortunately, the path my son Kyle made by jumping off the bridge and passing away, well, that changed. And since then, well, at the time, I believe there was not that much, I don't know, I guess, patrol and on the bridge. And certainly this suicide deterrent wasn't in motion. But since then, the increase of the patrol, and of course the building of this suicide deterrent has happened. So with that, I'd just like to thank the board, the construction people, and because in the future, well, all the people will thank you. And I believe and I hope that this does deter people from going there to the bridge and taking their lives for whatever reason. So with that, I just want and thank for the board for allowing me to speak, and we'll just go from there. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gamble, and thank you for your relentless pursuit of us as we go through this. We appreciate the praise, too. Right, thank you.
Okay, well.
Ms. Bach, are there more?
There are. Next, we have Dave Rohde. Mr. Rohde.
Good morning, Mr. Rohde.
President Parr, board members, managers, and staff, good morning. My name is Dave Rohde, and I'm a project manager with the Climate Reality Project. I hope all of you and your loved ones remain healthy. Given the pressing issues you face, I'll try to be brief this morning. Nothing is more important to public transportation right now than regaining riders. The grim project of 20%, from what I hear, 25% more cars on the road means worsening air quality that, at present, due to the wildfires, is the worst in the world. And the demise of public transportation will hurt most the ones who need it most. I'm here to pledge my support today for your initiative, Riding Together Bay Area Healthy Transit Plan. I promise to reach out to all the members of the Climate Reality Project and the thousands of other Bay Area climate activist groups to urge their support and promotion of your initiative. And if I may ask your public affairs manager a favor, Paolo Kosolich-Schwartz, please send me links and updates to the campaign so that I can promote and publicize it. I hope this campaign succeeds in increasing your ridership. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Rohde, for your constant reminders. Ms. Bach, are there more?
Yes. Next, we have Wendy Wong. Wendy, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday as well.
Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning. I received confirmation that you all got my written public comment that I sent yesterday. I just want to double check that everyone got a chance to read it.
I believe we did.
Wonderful. Were there any questions, any clarification needed?
I don't hear any from any of the board members.
Okay, so I just want to bring up the fact that the Route 24 is very important to essential workers, and I've stated that it is direct service and makes people get to work on time who are needed right now, who have been doing this since mid-March, since the shelter-in-place started. And I know that you're trying to bring back riders as well, and the option that you have given us to ride the Route 25 and take the ferry would actually deter people from wanting to come back, because most people would be comfortable taking one bus to work versus 3 forms of public transportation, because that ups your potential to possibly end up getting infected with the coronavirus, as you would have to maneuver through various surfaces, seats, and more people. And a lot of the people, unfortunately, on public transportation, some do not keep their mask on properly. So that ups the potential for bringing that to your workplace and to your home. So I would hope that you would keep the 24 so that riders who are staying home right now see that, oh, it's still in place, and they'll feel comfortable and want to come back to ride. And I know that you're concentrating on that right now, and I would like to see my fellow riders come back. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wendy. Ms. Bach, are there more?
There are. Next, we have Bruce Bell. Bruce, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm a happy lifetime user of your services as a Marin resident and San Francisco resident. I'd like to draw your attention to a letter in your board packet dated July 28th, requesting that the board significantly increase the number of electric vehicle charging stations at the Larkspur Ferry Terminal parking lot. We understand the district has begun looking at upgrading the 2 existing charging stations with an eye toward replacing them with 8 stations, depending on the available electrical capacity. And we want to encourage the board to direct staff to accelerate and expand its evaluation to consider the feasibility of installing a level 1 charging station at each of the parking lot's dozens of light posts. Now, since level 1 chargers require only 110 volts and could be installed to charge only during daytime when lights are off, the necessary electric supply is already in place at the posts. Further, we're aware of vendors who could provide very low-cost level 1 chargers which would also handle the customer payment transactions to the district for its electricity costs. Also, 80 to 90% of the costs should be covered by currently available grant funding from Marine Clean Energy, Transportation Authority of Marin, PG&E, and Bay Area Air Quality Management District. The proposed level 1 chargers are slow, hence they work well for ferry riders who leave their vehicles plugged in all day. This will also dissuade charging by non-riders looking for a faster charge. Availability of public charging stations is one of the key hurdles to EV adoption, and providing access to chargers is a social equity issue for ferry riders who live in multi-unit developments, which typically don't have EV charging stations. While recognizing the COVID-19 pandemic is causing the district serious financial stress, the climate crisis will be worse. Substantially increasing the number of EV charging stations at the Larkspur Ferry Terminal is a positive step the district can take now and help combat climate change and meet its riders' increasing needs for EVs. Thank you for your attention to this important matter, and we look forward to working with you and your staff in the coming months.
Thank you, Bruce. We appreciate your comments. Ms. Bach, are there additional speakers?
There are. Next, we have Helen Moore. Helen, go ahead.
Hello, this is Helen Moore, retired non-represented employee, and I'm speaking about the current changes to the health reimbursement arrangement and also COVID-19 is becoming involved more with the implementation of the CalPERS medical plan. I have submitted information in writing that I know will be included in the board minutes, and also spoke at the rules meeting earlier, and I just want to re-stress my concern about the HRA account. Who has made the decision that the HRA accounts will only be good for medical, co-pay, co-deductibles, and prescription drugs, as opposed to the additional inclusion of 213D expenses that are eligible per the IRS? Secondly, I understand that this is a huge cost-saving issue for the district to migrate to CalPERS. It's more efficient. I understand that. But if this has been such a cost-saving measure, why has this not been done sooner? And with a longer lead-in time for people. And then my final point has to do with COVID-19. I don't know about everybody in California. If you can go for non-emergency procedures, dental procedures, surgeries that are non-emergency, but we all have not been able to do that for months in many locations and still may not be able to. Is it possible to continue the HRA, which I would prefer indefinitely, but at least until the end of December 31st, 2021, so then we can go get these procedures once COVID-19 is under control? This really affects everyone, represented and non-represented employees, current and retirees. And I ask that the district please take that into account in this decision that you're making. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Ms. Brock, are there additional speakers?
There are. Next we have Shane Weinstein. Shane, go ahead.
Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, Chair. I just wanted to start by saying rest in peace to Larry Wade, our fallen brother from COVID-19. I just wanted to inform the board that the Route 25 is a ferry feeder only. The 24 is a commute service that serves many, many stops, many cities, and gives you an option to transfer where you'd like. Yesterday, the GM reported at the transportation meeting the bus pads are served. That's not true. It doesn't serve bus pads. So at the 25, you're only giving them an option basically to go to the ferry, which is very expensive. And like Wendy said, who I am in full support of here, that you can only go, you have to go from two separate, you have to go from a bus to a ferry. So the feeder is actually used, the 25 was used because parking at the lot was so full. But we don't have anybody parking at the lot because the ferry's down 98%, so people could just go drive their cars, so there's really no need for a 25. So instead of cutting a 25 out of the way that doesn't serve anything or bus pads and makes it difficult for our passengers, why don't we bring back the 24 that serves Fairfax, San Anselmo, Ross, Greenbrae, all the bus pads, many bus stops in the city, and carries many bicycles that go further out towards West Marin. What you're doing here is you're not giving an option other than to ride the ferry, which is down 98%. It's very expensive, and it doesn't give an opportunity for the public to transfer whatsoever. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Shane. Ms. Bach, are there more, please?
We do. Our next speaker is Francis Gleason. Francis, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning,
This is Frank Gleason. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to also support what Shane just said. I think that this COVID-19 is very confusing for everybody on all levels. However, I think at some point passengers are going to have to return to transportation that's going to alleviate bridge traffic. So with that in mind, I'd like to say that I also read that the bridge suicide barrier construction is now going to cost an additional $23 million. And I see this morning's agenda has the board voting for an additional multi-million-dollar administration cost. It's related to the increased construction cost of the SDS. I think somebody in charge should clearly state if these millions are coming from driver's tolls. I think somebody in charge should state clearly whether the increased cost of the SDS, the suicide deterrent system, this additional $23 million, will be taken away from the bus or ferry division. Will passengers have further service cuts never restored because of the cost of the suicide net? I think these are questions that should be answered. The cost of this suicide deterrent system, it went from $76 million to $137 million to $211 million, and now with $23 million more, it's $234 million. I just hope passengers in the ferry and the bus services of this bridge district are not short-shifted by these suicide barrier financial calamities. And I think that bringing the passengers back may be slow, but with the addition of some very aggressive advertising, once we see that the cars are truly increasing on the bridge, it could really help. And I think that the people in Marin deserve to get into San Francisco on a bus. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Ms. Bacher, do we have additional speakers?
I'd like to do one more check-in with the room, if you don't mind, President Parr.
All right. Thank you.
Is there anybody else on the line this morning that would like to speak under public comment? Madam President, seems we have no more speakers on the line.
All right, thank you everyone for your comments. Mr. Mulligan, it's not necessary, but would you like to comment on any of the public comments?
Sure. Mr. Weinstein's correct that the freeway bus pads are not accessed by the Route 25, but Marin Transit has a Route 23X, which parallels the Route 24 through the Ross Valley. So folks that are traveling from as far west as Olima Roads or Francis Drake Boulevard can catch a Marin Transit 23X that stops at the San Anselmo Hub where there's limited Route 27 service, or they can ride it all the way to San Rafael Transit Center to catch a Route 70 or Route 101, which go into San Francisco in the case of the Route 70 with numerous throughway bus pad stops. So there are other options, but the speakers were correct. It does introduce a transfer, where for many riders today there is not one. But in light of the difficult economic times and the incredibly low ridership, this is something that we need to implement and pursue. With respect to the concern about additional costs, if someone rides Route 25 and gets on the ferry, the bus ride is free and it's zeroed out. The ferry does cost 50 cents more than the bus from the Ross Valley into San Francisco, so I do acknowledge that there is a modest additional cost associated with that. And with respect to Mr. Gleason's comments, I think he's correct that ridership will come back slow if and when it comes back. And then when things are allowed to reopen, that a marketing campaign certainly will help. And MTC and the regional operators are looking at a coordinated campaign throughout the region at the right juncture when buildings reopen in downtown San Francisco to help facilitate that. The item on the suicide barrier today for $2 million is toll funded. The remainder of the $23 million increase is something that we're pursuing grants funds for, similar to the rest of the suicide barrier funding for the project. And I think that concludes my response to the comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. In that case, I'll conclude the public comments to the board. Madam Secretary, would you please continue with the next item on the agenda?
Thank you. And I'd like to add that Director Fredericks and Director Cochran had joined during public comment, so we have 14 directors on the line.
Welcome.
So moving on to item number 5, and that's to approve the consent calendar, including approval of minutes from the July 23rd committees and the July 24th board meeting, as well as ratification of previous actions by the Auditor Controller. Consent calendar is in the packet, and it's from pages 5 to 32, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any questions from board members on the consent calendar? Hearing none, I'd like to ask First Vice President Theriault if he would please move the item.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. And Director Grossful, would you second it, please?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call?
Thank you. Starting with Director Arnold.
Yes.
Yes. Director Belforte.
Yes.
Yes. Director Fewer.
Yes.
Yes. Director Fredericks.
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino.
Yes.
Yes. Director Grossful.
Yes.
Yes. Director Hernandez. Absent Director Hill.
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston.
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan. Absent Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears.
Yes.
Yes. Director Sobel.
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Theriault.
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. The motion passes 14-0.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please introduce the next item?
Thank you again. The item number 6A is the report of the General Manager, and that staff report can be found on page 33, and Dennis Mulligan is on the line, and he will present you his report. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, Madam President, members of the board, and members of the public. My written report is before you. I would like to mention a couple of items in the report and one that is not. With respect to the report, I would be remiss if I didn't again acknowledge that with COVID, the world is upside down. But August 15th did mark the 50th anniversary of Golden Gate Ferry. And we did not have the opportunity to have a boat out on the bay and to invite all the directors and staff out there to acknowledge that milestone. but it is our golden anniversary, and I did want to draw attention to that. As always, I have a write-up on the impacts of COVID-19 in the pandemic on district operations. There's a separate item under your agenda, item 10A, that reviews the suspensions of rules and procedures. But my staff report does talk about the financial challenges that we're facing, and I do encourage you to take a look at that because we are still hemorrhaging money. Bridge traffic is down about 33%. Bus ridership is down 80%. Which means only 20% of our riders that we're riding in February are riding today. Ferries down more than 95%. Fortunately, we've been able to get some federal assistance to temporarily bide us over. MTC allocated the first tranche of CARES Act funding in April. And we received $30 million. I've reported to you previously that more recently, MTC, based on a recommendation from their Blue Ribbon Transit Recovery Task Force, recommended an allocation of about $20 million to the district, and the actual commission voted on that item. Once MTC voted on it, the district submitted a grant application to the Federal Transit Administration. The money we're talking about is federal funds that were part of the CARES Act. I did want to draw your attention to the fact that we did submit that paperwork, and pursuant to the Federal Transit Administration's grant administration process, they send all grant requests to the United States Department of Labor, and the United States Department of Labor reaches out to all of the unions that represent employees of transit agencies to see if any of them object under what's known as 13C grounds. And I did want to share with the board that on August 20th of 2020, the ATU sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Labor objecting to our grant of $20 million of CARES Act money. To quote the letter, it says, ATU Local 1575 objects to the proposed certification action. Fortunately, the United States Department of Labor, after review of that, dismissed their objection, and staff is proceeding with the final paperwork to get that money in our coffers to offset the money that we're currently bleeding. But I thought that would be of interest to the committee to know. There's various other items in the report. With respect to the San Francisco collision with the San Francisco Ferry building almost 2 years ago, we are nearing conclusion of the negotiations with the Port of San Francisco on making the final corrections. I will keep that item in my jam report every month until we have all the work completed and a final accounting of what all the costs are and how much the insurer paid of that. And so that is still a work in progress. Then I would like to talk about the service awards. One of them will surprise you probably, but Sonia Pedler has been with the district for 30 years. And so on August 22nd, she celebrated 30 years with the district as an administrative assistant in the general manager's office. And all of you know her because of her role in the general manager's office. And I'm saddened to let you know that she will also be retiring in a couple of days. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and you may wish to give her a call or give her a jingle to offer her all the best in retirement. Also, Keith Nunn, who is the Director of Bus Maintenance, has celebrated 25 years with the Bridge District. He plays a vital role, particularly during the COVID-19 period, but he's responsible for all maintenance of bus facilities as well as all of our rolling stock or bus fleet. Then one of our house painters, Joseph Yakoy, has celebrated 20 years with the district. Then one of our bus operators, Bobby Davis, celebrates 20 years. Some of you may know Bobby. He's an incredibly charismatic person who delivers first-class customer service. And then a particular note, President Parr is celebrating 20 years as a board member. On August 25th, 3 days ago, it was Director Parr's 25-year anniversary as a member of the board. And we look forward to a future date when COVID is behind us and we can bring everyone together to celebrate and acknowledge all these. Then with respect to the Employee of the Month of the committee selected a Senior Systems Administrator from Information Systems, Mr. Matthew Daquisto, to be the Employee of the Month. And he received that award based on his fabulous work and his attitude, and we're lucky to have him as part of the district. He was born in Green Bay, attended high school in Novato, and then junior college in Santa Rosa, and he's a valued member of our team. He resides in Novato since 1988 with his partner, and he has a variety of hobbies and activities. That covers the items in my report. There's one item not in my report that I thought I'd mention briefly. That is, you have 33 days left to be counted in the U.S. Census. And I wanted to let the board know that earlier this week and last week, the United States Census staff partnered with the Canal Alliance in Marin County to hold an event for several days at the San Rafael Transit Center. And we were glad that we were able to participate in that event with them to encourage everyone to be counted. And that concludes my report. I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. Are there any questions related to the General Manager's report? All right, hearing none, I'd love to take executive privilege and tell you that I've driven to the board in excess of 500 trips from Napa, and it's been my pleasure. So we'll stop with that. It's a great board. All right, Madam Secretary, would you please, there are no actions to ratify under the General Manager's report, so no action is required. Madam Secretary, would you please introduce the next item?
Thank you. Item number 6B is the report of the attorney. Staff report can be found on page 47, and Kim Manolius is on the line to present his report. Kim, go ahead.
Thanks, Amaret. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay. My written report is before you. I'm happy to answer any questions. And I did want to let you know there's no closed session today, which is nice, but I will be sending the board a confidential memorandum about the Saliani class action cases that had been brought against the Bridge District. It's just an interim report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manolius. Are there any questions related to the attorney's report? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please introduce the next item?
The next item is item number 6C, and that's a report of the Chief Engineer. That report can be found on page 15 of the Building and Operating Committee packet, and Ava Bauer-Furbish is here to present a report. Ava, go ahead and start.
Thank you, Amaret. Madam President, members of the board, my written report is before you, and I would like to take a few minutes to present you with the status of the construction of the suicide deterrent project. As you know from my staff reports, we experienced difficulty with the delay and claims. However, the good news is the project is being built. So as of today, we have 332 of 369 net supports fabricated. Out of 385,000 linear foot of the net, 281,000 is already fabricated. The contractor is also installing scaffolding platforms on the North Approach Viaduct in preparation for the installation of the net support on that structure. And during last month, since my last report, additional 9 net supports have been installed on the suspension bridge. So right now we have a total of 215 net supports already in place. In addition to it, the contractor is working on the wind retrofit. And during last month, 113 linear feet of the existing railing have been removed, and 163 linear foot of new railing has been installed. So right now we have 3,538 linear foot of the new railing already on the bridge. In addition to it, additional 340 linear feet of wind fairing has been installed. So right now there is almost 2,000 linear feet of the wind fairing in place. Also, the contractor is progressing with the installation of the traveler rails. These are the elements on which the new travelers will be installed and will be moved. So with this, I am available to answer any question the board may have for me.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbish. Do we have questions for the Chief Engineer? Hearing none, let's pause for a moment and check to see if there are members of the public who would like to speak to the board on matters related to the items coming up under 8A through 8D.
Thank you, President Parr. We have received word that someone does want to comment under 8A, but we're going to pull the line just in case if there's others. Hang on one second. Okay, we have just Shane Weinstein wanting to comment under item 8A, since it's the first one on the next item that we're going to move on to, since there's no other reports under 7. If you like, we can go into public comment and take that one now before Chair Rabbit starts.
All right, why don't we do that? Good morning again, Shane.
Good morning, Chair. Can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me?
You.
Okay. Again, I just wanted to start this off by saying to Larry Wade, rest in power, and this union is going to fight every possible safety measure going forward in his remembrance. Today, I'm not going to speak only on behalf of just him or our members, but also all the other Golden Gate Bridge employees. Yesterday, the Transportation Committee adopted a very dangerous plan. One that every other ATU local in the Bay Area, as well as Muni's union, has also said that they're not okay with. What this plan included was going from 6 feet of social distancing to 3 feet. It stripped cleaning of driver cabs, and it did not outfit any of the buses with hand sanitizer or masks. What this was based on was an Asian and a European model. There's no one else, maybe a one-off in Portland that has tried it, but those countries won't even let us in. We're at the height of this pandemic. Even looking forward down the road, we don't know how long this is going to last, so even to fathom that we're going to go from 6 feet to 3 feet is insane when we can't even go into a restaurant and stay 10 feet away from each other. So just so everybody knows, we have partnered with all of the other Bay Area locals, like I said, and with Muni's local the MTC yesterday, and I believe that the general manager could probably speak to this, but the other 27 agencies came up with this very dangerous plan. And after as much blowback from rider groups, bike coalitions, unions, public advocacy groups, whoever it is, they overturned their plan and went with the more stringent. So I ask that we do not, that you look this over, you look this resolution over and know that it is absolutely dangerous and it is going to put our members at risk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shane. Are there other comments?
We have no other speakers on the line for items 8 through A.
All right, if not, let's continue to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned, we're going to move on to item 8 since there's no other reports under item 7. Item number 8A is report of the Transportation Committee meeting of yesterday, Thursday, August 27th. The summary of recommendations for this meeting can be found on page 51 of your packet.
Thank you. Chair Rabbit, would you please begin your committee's report to the board?
Thank you very much, Ms. President. The Transportation Committee met yesterday and is recommending authorization of board agenda item 8A1 to authorize a resolution of support endorsing the Riding Together Bay Area Healthy Transit Plan as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
I have a motion on the item. Director Arnold, would you please second the item?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have a question or would like to speak to this item?
Yes, this is Director Groswell. I have a comment.
All right, go ahead, Dick.
Well, you know, in looking at this 3-foot rule, and I understand, Dennis did explain, and I do understand why the value of going to 3 feet in the sense of some of our buses are full, only allowing 9 people in them, and it may impact our low-income customers, and they have to wait 15 minutes for a follow-up bus. But, you know, my own office requires a 6-foot. The elevator requires it. I went into the Walgreens. It requires it. You know, the CDC requires 6 feet. I went on the CDC website. I went on the Marin County Health Department website. It requires 6 feet. I understand this resolution did not condition it on making sure there's a 6-foot distance between the drivers and any passengers. I understand that's our position right now, but that's not in this resolution. And so I also understand that right now the Marin County Health Director has just not approved 6-foot distancing. So after thinking about it after the meeting yesterday and going through some of this material, I don't think it's a good idea to approve this resolution because of that, the 3-foot rule. It's the only time we would be using the World Health Organization requirement, as much as some of us were troubled by the CDC's ruling earlier this week, which they reversed. CDC is still going with the 6-foot rule, so I would vote no on this.
Thank you. Director
Madsen.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Director.
Sorry. Yeah, I agree totally with Dick. After thinking about it, I think this is very problematic at 3 foot. I know it puts us in a bad situation, but considering our employees and our passengers, I think this is unwise at this time.
Could I jump in, Madam President?
Of course.
The resolution adopts a Bay Area plan that sets a floor. We can do more than that. And I assure the board and the public that the district complies with our state and local public health officers and their orders. And so the Bay Area plan has an aspirational goal of transitioning at some future date to 3 feet. But we would not do that unless the public health officer said it was okay. The thinking behind that was that as the virus load goes down, as counties come off the state watch list, as more activities have the restrictions on them eased, it may be prudent to have a conversation with the public health officers about, as they allow people to get in elevators, as they allow restaurants and bars and gyms to reopen indoors, would it be appropriate if there's very little virus in the community to change that spacing? But the adoption of this resolution was something that NPC asked for, and it doesn't require us to do only that floor that's in that plan. It allows us to do more. It's very clear about that, and your staff will comply with the county and the state public health officers' written orders at all times. So I just want to put that out there if you have concerns about some words that are in that plan that's attached to the MTC resolution.
Madam President, I would like to respond. I'm sorry.
Yes, please do. Dr. Mass, is that you?
Thank you. Thank you. I think if there was a companion plan for Golden Gate that accompanied this, that would go a long way to resolving some of the questions in our minds and some of the concerns of our drivers and other staff and passengers.
Madam President, if I may.
Yes.
This is David Rabbit, and myself, along with our general manager, have been serving on the Blue Ribbon Task Force that basically came up with this plan, or had a subgroup come up with the plan. And MTC President Haggerty, when this was passed, the plan does follow whichever is stricter, state or county standards. And I think that's really important. And as the general manager stated, the 3-foot rule allows something in the future. It may not be in effect now, but it means that it doesn't have to come back. We also want to follow the CDC and the county health orders, and we don't want to have MTC, or for that matter, Golden Gate Bridge, dictating health standards. We want to have that be done by the health experts in the medical community and public health. And I think that all of that is baked into this plan. And I'm at a loss of why there's opposition. I think there's some other ulterior motives, but the plan itself is I think, solid.
Hello,
Right,
this is Sandra Fewer. Could I comment, please?
Yes,
yes. Thank you very much. My question is that with this resolution, before the Golden Gate Bridge Authority would change it to 3 feet distancing, would this item come back before the board for approval?
We would only change it to 3 feet if the county public health officials say it's okay to go to 3 feet. As Director Rabbit said, we're not medical professionals, we're not doctors, and so we will do whatever the medical professionals that are empowered to provide guidance to us dictate. And so we would not go to 3 feet unless the San Francisco and Marin and Sonoma and Contra Costa public health officials said it was okay.
And if you were to go to 3 feet and make that decision according to public health officials, would that item come back to the board for approval?
Thus far, we have just followed their guidance without asking the board's permission to follow their guidance. So it's a policy issue. Does the board wish to insert themselves into the direction that we received from public health officials and have us do something different? And that's a policy issue for all of you to contemplate.
So is, just for clarification, that this is approving a resolution that if the county health officials were to say it is permissible to be 3 feet, to transition to 3 feet distancing, that it would be the Golden Gate Bridge Authority's position that they would automatically do that without coming back to the board for further authorization. Is that correct?
General Manager Mulligan, I think that was addressed to you.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Luckily, Amrit reminded me I was on mute. If it's the board's pleasure, we can commit that we won't go to 3 feet unless we come back to the board and get your authorization.
Yeah, because actually I think that the situation is very fluid. I think that it is, I understand that, you know, in San Francisco also, that we listen to health officials first. And believe me, sometimes that is very difficult to do. But I also think that it is a huge decision, and I think to move from 6 feet to 3 feet, and also the situation is so fluid now, and we just don't know. Also, we want to really invoke confidence in our riders that they will ride and they can ride safely, and also for our workers that they can work safely. I would feel more comfortable if the resolution had a phrase in it that would include sort of an amendment that before the Golden Gate Bridge Authority moved to the 3 feet distancing, that it would come back to the board for approval. Otherwise, I would feel very reluctant to vote for this in favor today. Thank you.
Director Frewer, am I hearing that you would like to add that as a, not necessarily as an amendment to the resolution? It isn't our resolution.
Sure.
But as an aside, that
yes,
the Golden Gate Bridge Board be brought back in if we make the change?
Sure. Yes, that's what I'm requesting, but I would love to hear from my colleagues.
All right.
This is Bert.
All right, go ahead, Bert.
Yeah, the question I have on the 3 foot. 3 foot means different things in different places. And as far as the public health officer, I would like to make sure that they take into consideration the unique type of seating arrangements on transit as versus the 3 foot out on the street and commercial areas and things like that. So I'm as probably one of the few here who only depends on transit and bicycling and riding. I don't ride in a car or drive a car. That's extremely important for the amount of time that people ride in transit, up to an hour. That this be carefully examined in terms of the 3 foot in relationship to that space. I would like to see that before we approved it.
Yes, and if I may add, this is Sandra Fear, if I may add also that I think that the proposal to bring it to 3 feet would also include a plan in which to implement. For example, how do we ensure safety within 3 feet? What kind of modifications will we be doing? Are we putting sanitizers in? Are we doing protections for our bus drivers? So I think that to transition from a 6 foot distancing to a 3 foot distancing, we probably would have a modification of how our operations are working on the buses. That should actually accompany the proposal to have this brought before the board to switch from 6 feet to 3 feet. Thank you.
All right, are there other comments?
Madam President, this is Director Terrio.
Yes.
I contemplated, and I may do that in a moment, offering a motion to continue this until we had a written delineation from staff as to how they would proceed in implementing this resolution. so that we were assured of the kind of things that Director Fewer and others have asked for, and continuing it until the next meeting. But I would just do a few more comments if there are any before making that motion.
This is Alice Fredericks. I'd like to make a comment.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
I would hope that staff would share with the committee some of the information, with the board, some of the information that came up at the committee, which has to do with the existing protection of our drivers and the air turnover in the bus, which is an important part of protection. And is that appropriate to ask them to revisit that?
Mr. Mulligan, are you prepared to
Sure.
do that today?
Yes,
All right.
if it's the board's pleasure. We've made a whole host of changes at all of our facilities and all of our operations with the advent of the pandemic, and our bus operations is no different. So today, when you get on a bus, the driver has basically a sneeze guard shield, or that when they come to a stop before they open the door to let passengers in, they put into effect to protect them. Our buses are set up so that nobody can sit within 6 feet of a bus operator, and that is in the MTC plan. The MTC plan would maintain that at all times. Additionally, to facilitate social distancing, we have roped off the bulk of the seats on our bus. So a 40-foot bus, we allow 9 passengers on. A 45-foot bus that has 57 seats, we allow 11 passengers on. So we've taken a variety of measures. Our 45-foot buses replenish the inside air with outside air 7 times an hour. Our 40-foot buses, we bought 67 of them new last year. They replace the air in the bus with outside air every 2 minutes. So the air replenishment rate is quite high on our buses, and we clean and sanitize all of our buses every night. Our bus drivers, like our patrol officers, like our tow truck drivers, or the drivers that operate the zipper trucks, are expected to wipe down the cab or the area, the steering wheel, and the things you're going to touch. Bus drivers are fortunate that, unlike the other classifications here at the Bridge District, we have staff that parts of the day are available to do that wiping for them if they don't choose to wipe it themselves. So we do have bus servicers at the Santa Fe Transit Center when we switch out buses for some of the day, but not other times. So we do clean the areas where people touch things. We do have a high replenishment rate of air on our buses. We've set them all for that high replenishment rate. And we've done a variety of other things also to keep people safe as they ride Golden Gate Transit. Hopefully that addresses your concerns or questions, Director Fredericks.
Thank you. And I just want to add to the comment that while I theoretically have, and as a matter of theory, have no objection to bringing changes back to the board, I would really hate to see us substitute our political judgments for the judgments and the data of our health officials.
Yes, I would like to just, this is Board Member Fewer, Director Fewer. I would just say that I am not opposed to following, of course, the health orders, and I am not opposed to going from 6 feet to 3 feet. I just think that when we have the transition, it would be good to know what the plan is for the 3 feet adjustment, if any adjustments need to be made, and also if it comes before the board for further approval. I think that we are trying to save life first. That is a first priority here. And I also just think that it is another precaution that the Board of Directors actually should see is that what the plan is to switch from 6 feet to 3 feet. I am happy also to continue this item for further discussion. And absolutely we should, we have people clamoring in San Francisco to open up massage parlors and gyms, and they are going out of business. And so we are weighing this very heavily too. And so I appreciate actually that we are forward thinking about when this is where the recommendations are going to loosen up the guidelines, but I also think that it's probably smart of this board to actually approve that decision when we also see a plan for transition. Thank you.
This is Kate Sears. Can I make a comment?
Director, if it's possible, Director Belforte?
And can Kate Sears be in line after somewhere here? Okay. We
All
have
right.
Director Sears and Director Belforte that'd like to offer a comment as well.
Okay.
Director Sears,
ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I thought Belforte was on first. Excuse me. So, one of the things that we have done at Marin Transit that I think has helped our board at Marin Transit get a sense of what 6 feet means and what 3 feet means in the context of a bus is to see actual drawings of how the closing off of seats is configured. And I think it's very helpful because not all buses are configured the same. And it does help one get one's mind around what 6 feet means inside a bus and what 3 feet means inside a bus. I also want to reassure Director Hill that at least in Marin County, our public health official sits down specifically with the transit operators and has detailed conversations about what 6 feet would look like, what 3 feet would look like, and what measures are taken, so that that your notion of 6 feet is different on the outside than on the inside of a bus is absolutely right, and something that is taken into consideration by the public health officers when they're making their professional judgment about what's appropriate steps to take.
Thank you, Director Sears. Director Belforte?
Thank you very much. General Manager Mulligan, I receive a number of emails from you on a continuing basis that have COVID updates, and I serve on a number of boards and on a city council, and you are probably the only one that sends out as much information as any other ones that I sit on. And I'm curious, you do that I think for a variety of different reasons, but since March 17th, when the state of California was closed down, you have not come to the board and asked for any approval on the COVID protocols and changes that you've put forward to my memory, and please share with me if I'm wrong, but I do feel you've kept us up to date in everything that you're doing through those email communications, and I guess I'm just asking for clarification. Am I thinking of that in the right memory?
You are correct. We have followed the public health officials' directives. We've documented that, and we've shared that, and I send out at least one communication every week, most weeks 2, where we try to inform everybody, our employees, and the board and others what we are doing. So we try to be straightforward about that. But if there's an interest, we could come back at a future meeting and do a detailed presentation on some of the steps that we've done on bus and ferry that shows what we're cleaning and how we clean throughout the district, not just at bus, but we have tow trucks, we have patrol cars, we have zipper trucks where people, share those vehicles, and people wipe down their space, and we implement protocols to protect them. We have our facilities where people come through and wipe down all the high-touch surfaces, wipe down tables, chairs, doorknobs, light switches. So we made wholesale changes. You came to our facilities, you'd see where we have temperature screening and other things in place. But if you want, we could do a very lengthy, detailed presentation on many of those steps. We can send out with the packet lots of photos that are numbered so we can kind of walk you through what we've done, so that for those that are more visual, they can kind of see what it is, if that's your pleasure.
Thank you. And then just one other question that I have for you. My understanding, and I just want to reiterate it again, is this is what MTC asked for. It's a particular standard, but you are still following healthcare experts' recommendations on standards for implementing protocols in all of our divisions.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right, are there other comments?
Madam President?
Yes, I have Director Tirio and Director Sobel, I believe.
Yep.
Well, I think Director Sobel has spoken yet, so I'll let him go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Director Sobel.
Yes. So I think we've had a good, robust discussion here. I'm prepared to vote for moving the resolution. I don't think a continuation for a month or something provides any additional information that affects this particular resolution. I'd be prepared to support a motion that at the time the Bridge District would change the standard to 3 feet, that it would be brought back for discussion. But I'm really, really clear that we're not doing anything that the health directives aren't, pointing us to. Each of the health directors in all these counties have the standards that we're following. And to to Alice's point, Director Fredericks, I don't want to see this get political. This isn't political. This is all about science. It's all about health. And I think that's where I'll leave it. Again, I'd support a motion that speaks to Director Fuhr's interest in, if there's a change, we want to hear about it. But I don't think that gets in the way of our authorizing this resolution today. That's just my feeling on it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Director Chirio?
Yes, even with that, I'm going to go ahead and move that we continue to our next meeting, with the understanding, I think, from earlier meetings that meeting may actually occur earlier than the next regularly scheduled meeting. So I'll make that motion.
All right, we have
Madam President, we do have a motion and a second on the floor for the.
I was going to say, we basically,
correct?
thank you, Kim. We have a motion on the floor plus Director Chirio's. Kim, shall we go with the first motion first? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, or seek an amendment with the first motion maker.
All right.
But yeah, you have to deal with
I'm sorry, point of order. Mr. Manoli, this isn't a motion to continue in order at any time prior to a vote on the prior motion?
Yes, you can do it that way. Or you can
and
seek an
should it then
amendment.
be taken in order of precedence?
Mr. Manoli?
Yes, go ahead. That's right. We should do the motion to continue first. See if there's an interest in
Right.
to continue.
Thank you.
So there's a motion on the floor to continue the item to next month. Is there a second for that?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Good discussion, Madam President.
Sure.
I would just say,
Go ahead. Is there any discussion?
after being involved in this at MTC and hearing the discussion both yesterday at our committee meeting at MTC a number of times and today, I believe that if at some point in the future all the county health officers, the CDPH, the CDC say 3 feet is safe, why would the board of directors of the Golden Gate Bridge need to vote to follow their guidance? Are we looking to pick and choose which standards we follow? And I think that's really, and we've had this in our county for different businesses, and this is really where the politics gets interfered with the public health. I agree with Director Sobel that staff can always inform us at the board that we are following public health recommendations, including whatever the physical distancing is going to be, whether it's 3 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, or 10 feet. So, I'm not sure what a continuance does for us because we are one entity out of 26 that have been asked to approve this, and part of the approval process is to try to gain confidence of the public by going out and having an educational outreach campaign. We can always do above and beyond what this is, as has been stated a number of times. So with that, I won't be supporting the continuance. I'll be supporting moving forward with the caveat that staff would come back and tell us if any of the public health criteria, protocols for public transit have changed.
All right, thank you for that. Are there other comments on the continuance?
Yes. This is Director Fuhr. For clarification, I believe that I suggested that that this item would come back to the board, and I'm happy just it not for approval, for discussion, just so that it comes back to the board before actually, so we're assured that all the protocols have been put in place, that we can actually follow the public health guidelines safely. And actually, I don't think that suggestion is political at all. I think that suggestion actually just ensures and that we as directors are able to say to the public, we are ready to follow the public health protocols, and this is what we have put into place to make sure it is safe. I am happy to adjust my amendment to suggest that this item if the public health officials should give us guidelines that are different than the 6-foot distancing, that we would switch to a 3-foot distancing, that it would come back to the board for discussion. And it doesn't have to be for approval, but I think it should come back at the very least for discussion. So I'd like to amend my previous amendment to say that I think it should come back to the board for discussion. But, and then I just want to clarify that actually I don't think this is political. I actually think this is ensuring that all of us, when we move to 3 feet, that we're all doing it safely. Because even at, the city and county of San Francisco, if we are allowed to do something, we have protocols in place to make sure that we're doing it safely and in a way that we are ensuring that we are following the public health guidelines and doing it in a very safe way and rolling it out. And that is all I meant to say.
All right. Let me see if we're clear on this then. We have a motion on the floor that we are prepared to vote on, that we continue the entire item to the next board meeting. Then and then as soon as we figure that one out, then we'll deal with whether or not we want to, or how we want to deal with the caveat that we come back before we make any major changes once the resolution is approved. Is that correct, Mr. Manolius?
That's right. You would see if there's a desired amendment to the initial motion. Exactly.
All right. So we don't have an amendment. Go ahead, Bert.
I got just a real quick question. Would this mean the September 11th meeting?
I would assume so. That's a little early, but.
So, Madam President,
yes.
Secretary again.
Yes.
Yeah, I know we've been debating this. I don't have Robert's Rules of Order in front of me. I don't think motions to continue are debatable. But the motion to continue doesn't contemplate that we will do anything other than this resolution. I think it leaves the question entirely open as to what we do with this resolution. It allows for a couple of weeks at least for staff to put together something that clarifies any questions that may have come up here in a formal way, so that we have a better basis on which to decide. That's all it does. It says nothing about PC, nothing about political interference in the scientific process. It just gives us a little longer to think about this and then weigh in again. Thank you.
Mr. Manolius, is that accurate that a motion to continue isn't debatable and you don't vote on it?
You certainly vote on it.
Okay.
Generally,
but you just don't debate it.
Well, yeah, but this board does discuss things, so I would not foreclose some clarification as to what's intended.
All right. So I'm going to try
you have a motion to continue on right now, right?
Right, and I'm going to call for the question. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll for the motion to continue to the next meeting?
That's correct. We are calling.
To continue the vote. To continue the vote on the resolution, accepting it or rejecting it to the next meeting.
That is correct. Continue on the resolution. Right. That's right. Okay, so now let me get my roll call sheet. I have any. Okay, we're going to start with Director Arnold. Director Arnold? Director Arnold, are you still on the line? Director Arnold is absent from the vote. Director Belforte?
No.
No. Director Fewer?
No.
No. Director Fredericks?
I'm sorry, my battery died, and I here now, and we're taking a vote, are we?
Yes, we are at the vote to continue this vote onto the next. This vote is to continue the vote on the resolution to the next board meeting.
My vote is no.
Thank you. Director Garbarino?
My vote is no.
Thank you. Director Grosball?
Yes.
Yes. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston?
No.
No. Director Moylan. Absent. Director Rabbit.
No.
No. Director Sears.
No.
No. Director Sobel.
No.
No. Director Yee. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
No.
No. First Vice President Terrio.
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr.
No.
No. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 10, and then 1, 2, 3. So the vote is 10-3. 10 no's on continuing this item and to continuing the vote on the item, and 3 yeses. So the motion fails.
Okay. All right. With that, we will continue to have discussion and a vote on how we want to deal with the resolution from MTC. Are there other comments on that? Let me tell you what I'm hearing, and maybe there's an elegant solution out there. I'm hearing that that the real interest in this resolution is ensuring that if major changes are made, for instance, from the 6-foot to the 3-foot, that not only is it authorized by the public health officers of all of those counties, but that the board has an opportunity to look at what that means for our buses, for our passengers, and for our drivers. Is that what I'm hearing, or are there other nuances?
Yes, President, this is Sandra Fiora. I think that suffices. Sure. I think my intention was just to bring it back for a discussion and an update before we actually converted from 6 feet to 3 feet.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I think that's a wise decision personally. So we do still have a motion and a second on the floor.
Can I ask for clarification on the motion?
Sure.
Sure.
So is the idea that the action couldn't go forward unless we approve it, or is the idea that we get a report on what's happening?
As I previously stated, it is not up for approval. I said I am open to having a discussion about it and not come up before a board action.
But it would come to us.
Frankly, an update. It would come to us for a discussion, right? And the director, I think, would then, the general manager then would actually just give us, lay out his plan about how they're converting from 6 feet to 3 feet to comply. And also, in converting from 6 feet to 3 feet, there may be other public health orders that would accompany that if they were to lift the 6 feet order. And we really don't know what the public health official might say. And so I think this is a good time for us to, when we're about to switch from 6 to 3, that we have a discussion that if the public health order also accompanies other new restrictions in order to ensure safety, that we are aware of those restrictions too, and guidelines as we roll it out. But not for a vote, for a discussion and an update.
Madam President?
Madam President, if I may?
Yeah.
May I get further clarification on this? So the idea is that the report comes to the board before the staff acts, even though the board will not make a decision on the action.
Madam President, as the maker of the motion, can I just add a clarifying language that I
Please.
think that will get us over the finish line here?
Thank
I think
you.
that, and I appreciate, I know the board wants to be kept up to date, and I would only say that the motion would be to approve the resolution as it's written, and also have the board be informed of any and all public health transit protocols as they evolve over time.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Actually, I think it's a little bit more than that. It's about, there's public health updates, but then there's also updates concerning the Golden Gate Bridge Authority on how they're complying with the new mandate. So it is not a vote, it is an update, and I think it should be open for discussion at a board meeting myself. But yeah, I don't think it requires a vote. I think we can vote on the resolution today, but I would just say personally myself, I would feel much more comfortable if those guidelines were lifted, we as a board would hear how the Golden Gate Bridge Authority is going to implement that and adjust the plan. That's it.
Madam President, this is Brian.
And I think that's entirely possible. We have a history of, as a board,
Yes.
of asking for things to come back on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's out of the question. I think that's probably a better way to handle it. Just to put the staff, put it in writing as part of our minutes, and put the expectation to the staff that as they make any kind of changes in response to public health responses or mandates, that we're part of the conversations, I think is what I heard you say.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Director Sobel.
Yes, I think Director Rabbit, his amendment is perfect. I go back to Director Belforte pointing out that staff probably keeps us as informed as any staff among any agency or elected body in the region. Staff is not going to move from 6 feet to 3 feet without informing the board. We need to get on with this. I call for the motion.
Yes,
Right.
and I wanted to say, I never insinuated that staff does not keep us updated. I just said that informally, I think that we should state it as a board. That's all.
Right. It's a big deal to move. All right, I have a call for the question.
President Park.
Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
What is the question?
President Park.
The question was on
Kim.
Director Rabbit's original motion that came from the committee, from the Transportation Committee, and then we'll make sure that after we vote, if we accept the resolution as stated, that we add to the minutes that we expect the staff to come back to us for discussions and updates regularly on any major changes.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So,
Madam
President
Secretary,
Park,
I think we're ready.
Okay,
President Park,
Kim Manolius has a comment.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
wanted
Kim.
to be, sorry, I just wanted to be clear. So the motion is to approve the resolution, and is there a timing component as to the reporting of changes to county health orders and how the district's going to implement? In other words, does that need to be done before the district takes those actions, or I just want to make sure that staff knows what the timing is going to be.
Thank you.
I heard that we are part of hearing it in some manner before it happens. But
right. This is Alice. I heard the opposite, that it's going to be reported the way staff usually reports to us.
Okay. Anyone else want to weigh in on that one?
I actually think it should be before it's implemented. I think that we should be updated and know about it before it is actually implemented. And I actually think that is not asking, it might be a little bit out of the ordinary of what we normally do, but we are in extraordinary times. And so I don't have any problem with voting for the resolution if I know, am I assured as a board member that I would know what the plan is for us to implement it.
Right.
Madam President?
Yes.
Again, I'm just going to go back to March 17th when we were locked down. The Golden Gate Bridge has kept us informed on a weekly basis, everything that's happening, and it is still unprecedented times now, and it was unprecedented times then, and I don't see any reason that we should change the method that we are following and keeping all of us informed.
All of this does is state that actually this does happen. That's all it states.
Right.
And it's just a formal statement. And I think that for most things, we don't need a formal statement. I am just suggesting for this thing that we may need a formal statement so the public also knows that we are informed.
All right, Mr. Manolius, that probably didn't clear it up much.
I'm confused.
So why don't we restate the motion with either
All
option
right, you want to
or
try
after?
it?
So the current motion we have, oh, sorry, I was going to say the current motion we have is the motion that Chair Rabbit has brought forth with a second by Director Arnold to approve yesterday Transportation Committee's recommendation on the authorization of the resolution of support. And what we're hearing also is that after we take the motion, there's a desire for the directors to consider either continuing with the monthly report as is, or putting a motion on the floor that says that the board must take an action, I believe.
Oh, no, there was no, yeah. I think that I would say that upon approval of this resolution, that it is the intent of the Golden Gate Bridge Authority to be informed on updates on how the Golden Gate Bridge Authority will implement the new public health order. And that's basically it. It doesn't seem that controversial, quite frankly. I think that, or we can say, and I actually am more comfortable saying it before it's implemented. And so it does, if we know the public health order is coming down, it gives staff also time to prepare about, because they're going to be preparing anyway, how we're going to do it. So I would say that, and it's not a vote, it's basically, and I just want to say that I know staff keeps us informed, quite frankly. I just think for this particular item that we should sort of cover ourselves a little bit with the public too, that we have a plan in place, and I think every director should be able to articulate that plan to invoke confidence in the public. Right. So it is just saying upon passage of this approval of this amendment, that it is the intention of this board to be informed by the general manager of the Golden Gate Bridge Authority on the plans to implement the new public health order.
All right.
Okay.
Do we need anything to add that intent, or does that just become part of the conversation?
We'll encapsulate that in the minutes.
Yeah, and if possible, General Manager, is that okay? I mean, do you think that's a great inconvenience? Because I wouldn't want to inconvenience you.
Whatever's the pleasure of the board, I will gladly do. Perhaps what you could do is you could say you're going to pass this resolution with the understanding that the general manager will inform the board of any and all changes to public health orders as they affect our operations. Something like that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All right.
If that works for all of you.
Let's try that. All right. Director Arnold and Director Rabbit, are you both okay with that additional wording, not as part of the resolution, but as part of our action?
Pretty sure that's what I said some minutes ago. I mean, the idea is the board be informed of any and all public health transit protocols as they evolve over time. If you wait for it to be implemented, you run the risk of being out of compliance. We've had that in our own county. So I still think that wording is important. Dennis will take care of it as he always does. I'm confident in that, and we don't need to beat this up any further because it's really a waste of time.
All right. Would you call the roll, please, Madam Secretary?
Thank you. We'll start with Director Arnold.
Yes.
Director Belforte.
Yes.
Yes. Director Fewer.
Aye.
Aye. Director Frederick.
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino.
Yes.
Yes. Director Grothful.
No.
No. Director Hernandez. Absent. Director Hill.
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston.
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan. Absent. Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears.
Yes.
Yes. Director Sobel.
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Tirio.
Yes.
Yes. President Parr.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. The motion passes 13-1.
All right, thank you for all your comments. Chair Rabbit, I think you have more.
I do, and let's make this
Lucky
one
you.
nice and quick. The Transportation Committee met yesterday and is recommending authorization of Board Agenda Item 8A2 to authorize execution of the 8th Amendment to Request for Proposals 2012 D1 Customer Communication Services Platform utilizing interactive voice technology with in-house transportation, formerly doing business as Ontario Communications Inc. of Markham, Ontario, Canada, in the amount of $25,000, and to extend the annual maintenance services for the short message service, SMS, fixed route for the additional one-year term in the amount of $41,000, and authorize the general manager to approve future amendments to extend the annual maintenance services for the SMS fixed route module, as well as other modules when current maintenance terms expire, if deemed in the district's best interest, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion on the item. Director Fredericks, would you please second the item?
I second.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have a question? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you. For item 8A2, starting with Director Arnold.
Yes.
Yes. Director Belforte. Director Belforte, are you still on the line? Director Belforte is not on the line. Director Fewer.
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks.
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino.
Yes.
Yes. Director Grosboll.
I'm pleased to support my esteemed colleagues with a yes.
Go, Dick.
Director Hernandez. Absent. Director Hill.
Yes.
Yes. Director Maskin.
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan. Absent. Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears.
Yes.
Yes. Director Sobel.
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee. Absent. Second Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Theriault.
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Chair Rabbit, do you have anything further to report?
I think not, although I can't find my paper, so if Madam Secretary can confirm.
My paper says, Mr. President, that concludes my report, so
That concludes
I think you're done. All right. Thank you, Chair Rabbit. Madam Secretary, would you please continue with the next item?
Item number 8B will move on to the report of the Building and Operating Committee meeting of Thursday, August 27th. That summary of recommendations for that meeting can be found on page 53 of your packet.
Thank you, Chair Theriault. Would you please begin your committee's report to the board?
Thank you, Madam President. We have two items for your consideration. First is Board Agenda Item number 8B1. The committee recommends that the board approve award of contract number 2020 BT011, Nevada Bus Facility Underground Storage Tank Site Cleanup to ETIC of Pleasant Hill, California, in the amount of $5,893,899.75. Establish a 10% construction contingency in the amount of $589,400, and authorize a budget increase in the amount of $5,100,300 in the fiscal year 2021 Bus Transit Division capital budget for project number 2132, as detailed in the staff report and as concurred with by the Finance Auditing Committee, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion on the item. Director Belforte, if you are on, would you please second the item?
I believe Director Belforte is off the line now.
All right. How about Director Sears?
I'll second the item.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have a question? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you. Director Arnold.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Belforte. Absent. Director Fewer.
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks.
Yes.
Aye. Director Garbarino.
Yes. Aye.
Thank you. Aye. Director Grossfall?
Aye.
Aye. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston?
Yes.
Maston, aye. Director Moylan? Absent. Director Rabbit?
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears?
Yes.
Aye. Director Sobel?
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee? Director Yee is absent. Second Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
Aye. First Vice President Tirio?
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Chair Tirio, would you please continue your report?
Yes, next is board agenda item number 8B2. The committee recommends the board approve a $2 million budget increase in the fiscal year 2021 Bridge Division capital budget to the Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System project, project number 1526, to be funded with district reserves for a revised total project number 1526 budget of $194,779,868 to finance through December 2020 additional administration and construction engineering staff costs relative to construction contract number 2016-B01, Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System and Wind Retrofit projects as detailed in the staff report and as concurred with by the Finance Auditing Committee. And I so move.
Thank you very much. I have a motion on the item. Director Garbarino, could you please second the item?
Happy to second the item.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have a question on this item? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you. Director Arnold?
Yes.
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 Director Belforte? Absent. Director Fewer?
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks?
Yes.
Aye. Director Garbarino?
Aye.
Aye. Director Grosball?
Aye.
Aye. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston?
Yes.
Maston, aye. Director Moylan? Absent. Director Rabbit?
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears?
Yes.
Aye. Director Sobel?
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee? Absent. Second Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
Aye. First Vice President Tirio?
Yes.
Aye. And President Parr?
Yes.
Thank you. And that motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Chair Tirio, do you have anything further to report?
Only my gratitude to Director Rabbit for not giving me the grief he got. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Tirio. Madam Secretary, would you please continue with the next item on the agenda?
The next item is item 8C, which is the report of the Finance Auditing Committee meeting. A revised summary of recommendations for this meeting was issued and posted online on Monday morning, and that replaces the version that was found in your original meeting packet. The difference in the revised version is the addition of item number 8C2.
Thank you. Chair Sobel, would you please begin your committee's report to the board?
Absolutely, Madam President. The Finance Auditing Committee met yesterday and is recommending authorization of board agenda item number 8C1 to authorize the general manager or his designees to execute for and on behalf of the Golden Gate Bridge, Highway and Transportation District grant applications and agreements, and to take such other actions as necessary to secure funding relative to the Cycle 6 Lifeline Transportation Program as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion. Director Fredericks, would you please second the item?
I will second the item.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have a question on this item? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you. Director Arnold?
Yes.
Yes. Director Belforte? Absent. Director Fewer?
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks?
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino?
Yes.
Yes. Director Grosball? Director Grosball is absent. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Yes.
Aye. Director Maston?
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan? Absent. Director Rabbit?
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears?
Yes.
Yes. Director Sobel?
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee? Absent. Second Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Terrio?
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. This motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Chair Sobel, would you please continue with your report?
Yes, this is the aforementioned agenda item number 8C2. The Finance Auditing Committee met yesterday and is recommending authorization of board agenda item number 8C2 to set a public hearing via audio conference on Thursday, September 24th, 2020 at 9 a.m. to receive public comment on the expansion of means-based fares known as Clipper Start fares to include local rides within Marin County on Golden Gate Transit buses, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion on the item. Director Hill, could you please second that item?
Second.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have a question on this item? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you. Director Arnold?
Yes.
Director Belforte? Absent. Director Fewer?
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks?
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino?
Yes.
Yes. Director Grosboll? Absent. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston?
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan? Absent. Director Rabbit?
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears?
Yes.
Yes. Director Sobel?
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee? Absent. Second Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Terrio?
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr?
Yes.
Yes. The motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Sobel. Do you have any additional items?
No, I don't, Madam President. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please continue on with the next item?
Thanks. Item 8D is the report of the Rules Policy and Industrial Relations Committee of Friday this morning, August 28th, and that summary of recommendations for this meeting is on page 57 of your packet.
Go ahead, Chair Arnold.
Okay. The Rules Policy and Industrial Relations Committee met today and is recommending authorization of board agenda item number 8DI to approve the transition of district-provided health care coverage for members of the Board of Directors to the CalPERS Health Plan system, as detailed in the staff report, effective January 1st, 2021, pending adoption of CalPERS resolution at the special board meeting on September 11th, 2020, approve the establishment of a health reimbursement arrangement, otherwise known as an HRA, plan for members of the Board of Directors enrolled in specified CalPERS medical plans, modify access to medical coverage for retired members of the Board of Directors to include only district administered non-medical benefits effective January 1st, 2021, and approve update to the district policy as appropriate as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion on the item. Director Cochran, could you please second that item?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have questions on this item? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
For item 8D1, Director Arnold?
Yes.
Yes. Director Belforte? Absent. Director Fewer?
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks?
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino?
Yes.
Yes. Director Grosboll? Absent. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston?
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan? Absent. Director Rabbit?
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears?
Yes.
Aye. Director Sobel?
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee? Absent. Second Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
Aye. First Vice President Terrio?
Yes.
Aye. And President Parr?
Yes.
Aye. Thank you. The motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Would you please take us into the next item?
Yes, the Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee is recommending authorization of Board Agenda Item Number 8D2 to receive the Statement of Actuarial Opinion regarding the cost impact of retiree health benefit plan changes upon future costs, including normal costs and any additional accrued liability in accordance with California Code 7507, relative to the transition of district retiree health plans to the CalPERS health system for Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU, and new and non-represented employees and retirees as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion. Director Sobel, would you please second this item?
Second.
All right. All right, thank you. Before we take our vote, are there any board members who have a question on this item? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you. Item 8D2, Director Arnold?
Yes.
Yes. Director Belforte? Absent. Director Fewer?
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks?
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino?
Yes.
Garbarino, aye. Director Grosboll is absent. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Yes.
Yes. Director Maston?
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan? Absent. Director Rabbit?
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears?
Yes.
Yes. Director Sobel?
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee? Absent. Second Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Terrio?
Yes.
Yes. And President Parr?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. That motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Director Arnold, do you have anything further to report? I think she doesn't, so I'll thank her. And Madam Secretary, would you please continue with the next item on the agenda?
Thank you. We'll move on to item 10 since there's no addresses to the board under item 9. Item 10A is the discussion and possible action to terminate the suspension of the board procedural rules and policies for COVID-19 related emergency action. A brief staff report is found on page 59, and Mr. Mulligan is here if you have any questions to present his report.
All right, Mr. Mulligan, do you have anything you'd like to remind us of here?
No, this is the same item you see every month. It's to consider whether or not you wish to terminate the suspension of some of your rules and policies for the COVID emergency. And staff recommends that you do not suspend them at this time and that you continue this item to your next meeting.
All right. Are there any board members who have a question on this item?
I do have a motion. This is Director Terrio. And that is that we continue consideration of this item to the next meeting of the board under special order of business.
All right, I have a motion. Thank you. Okay, we have a second. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Director Arnold? Absent. Director Belforte? Absent. Director Fewer?
Aye.
Aye. Director Fredericks?
Yes.
Yes. Director Garbarino?
Aye.
Aye. Director Grosboll? Absent. Director Hernandez? Absent. Director Hill?
Aye.
Aye. Director Maston?
Yes.
Yes. Director Moylan? Absent. Director Rabbit?
Aye.
Aye. Director Sears? Director Sears is absent. Director Sobel?
Aye.
Aye. Director Yee? Absent. Second Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
Yes. First Vice President Terrio?
Yes.
Yes, and President Parr.
Yes.
Thank you. We have exactly 10. Motion passes 10-0.
Good. Thank you, Board. I have just a couple other things here. We have no unfinished business or new business. Item number 13, I'd like to remind you, is communications. There were also a couple separate communications sent out. So we reached the end of the agenda and there are no further items on the board. If I may have a motion to adjourn, and I do have some adjournment honors. The ones today are near and dear to our hearts. We're adjourning today meeting in honor of the following individuals: former Director John Frazier, bus operator Larry Wade, Robert Bruckman, Transportation Field Supervisor Laura Leahy's husband, Joseph Eberly, Deputy Engineer John Eberly's father, Peter Nabong, Engineering Department Control Specialist, and Anthony Garcia's stepfather, and Neil Gray, IBTTA's longtime Government Affairs Director. Please join me for a moment of silence, and then I'd like a motion for adjournment. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 All right. Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. Have a nice day. I hope the smoke stays away from you. And thank you for your hard work today.